What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one, we are going to be ranking the new Premier League signings for FPL, and we're sort of going to be ranking them in a tier list system. So as you guys can see, here is a tier list, and we do have 5 different sections. We've got great FPL pick, very good, meh, avoid, and get in the bin. So that's how we're going to be ranking these players today. And of course, we don't have literally every single Premier League signing because I think that would make the video too long, but we do have the main players that people are probably looking at for FPL. So yeah, that's what we're going with today's video. And look, we're going to start off talking about Cherki. And I hate to do this, guys, but I have to be honest, right? I have to be true to myself. Even though I love Cherki as an FPL, as a football player, right, as an FPL asset, I'd have to put him down as a hard avoid, guys. I'm going to be totally honest. Yes, as I said, I love Cherki. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think in terms of natural footballing ability, he is one of the best players in the league, guys. When you talk about the ability to create chances, he can do it. When you talk about the ability to beat a man on the inside and the outside, he can do it. When you talk about the ability to finish, he can do it, right? I think Cherki is absolutely sensational. And as I said, in terms of natural footballing ability and technical ability, he is one of the best players in the Premier League. But even though I rate this guy so highly, even though I rate him so highly, as an FPL asset, he cannot be trusted. It's simple as that, guys. Pep roulette is a thing. Man City have so much squad depth, and you just cannot trust, especially new signings, right? You just cannot trust them to start week in, week out. You cannot trust them to be 90-minute men, right? And Cherki, I can't trust. Simple as that. So in terms of FPL, even though, yes, he's a good footballer, even though, yes, he's a fantastic footballer, when it comes to FPL, he has to be an avoid because you just simply cannot trust him, right? Because when I'm looking for FPL picks, I want to make sure they're guaranteed to start week in, week out. I want to make sure they're more or less guaranteed to get 90 minutes every single game. And Cherki cannot provide that for me, right? So for me, he has to be an avoid. In terms of Ait-Nouri, right, it's sort of a similar type of thing, but I would put him I would put him in the meh section, right? And that is because I do think he's more likely to get more minutes than the likes of Cherki. I think his competition, right, for places won't be as high. Like, he's not really competing with as many players with as opposed to Cherki, which is why I would rank him just slightly above Cherki. I think, look, in terms of Man City and their defence, right, I still don't think, you know, the signing of Ait-Nouri even improves Man City's defence, if I'm being totally honest. I still think they're going to be relatively vulnerable at the back, but Ait-Nouri does have that attacking threat. He's so advanced, and that's what I do like about him. So I'm a bit 50-50 on Ait-Nouri. I think the risk for rotation, as I said, isn't as high as it is with Cherki, but still, I think in terms of just clean sheets and getting points in general, I don't know if he's that appealing because I just don't know if I trust that City defense, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, for now, I'd say Ait-Nouri in the meh section. And in terms of Reijnders, I'm going to be honest, guys, it's just get in the bin. Get in the bin. What are we doing here, guys? Please tell me no one here watching this video has considered buying Reijnders, because I just don't understand why you would do that. Honestly, I really don't get it. For me, he's not someone that's going to get a huge amount of goals and assists, number one. Number two, there's always, again, that factor of being rotated constantly. I can't guarantee he's going to start every week. I can't guarantee he's going to get you 90 minutes. And also, for defensive contributions, I don't even think he'll be that good either, because, look, to be good for defensive contributions, ideally you want to play for a team that gives up possession a lot, right? You want to play for a team that on average they have less possession than their opponents, right? And Man City, we know how much they like to dominate the ball. So because of this play style that Man City do have, I don't even know if Reijnders will even be good for defensive contributions. So when you combine all of those factors, I mean, the lack of security in minutes, the fact that he probably won't start every single week, and the fact that, me personally anyway, I believe he won't be that good for defensive contributions due to the way that Man City like to play football, for me, nah. I'm not going for him at 5.5. I just don't see the point. I really don't see the point. So for me, it's just straight up get in the bin. Now, next up, we do have João Pedro, and this might be a controversial one because he has got a ridiculously high amount of ownership. But for me, I'm gonna put João Pedro in the avoid section. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm no FPL expert, but for me, João Pedro has to be an avoid, and I don't really understand the hype around João Pedro, if I'm being honest. I've said it before in one of my previous videos, but I'm going to say it again here, right? The whole FPL community twerking, shaking their bum, shaking booty for this man here, and I don't get it. right? He's got over 60% ownership. And for me, in my humble opinion, he's got even worse as an FPL asset. When he was at Brighton, he was guaranteed to start week in, week out. He was guaranteed 90 minutes and he was on penalties as well. But now he's moving to a Chelsea team that have so much depth in attack. There's also Liam Delap as well. So he's moving to a Chelsea team where now he's not guaranteed to start every single week. He's not guaranteed to get 90 minutes because he's most likely going to get subbed off for Liam Delap in some games. And he's no longer on penalties because Cole Palmer will still take them. So I don't really understand why everyone is going for João Pedro. And for me, he's an easy avoid. I'm going to be honest, especially at the start of the season. Especially at the start of the season, he's an easy avoid. I mean, guys, do we really think that Liam Delap is just going to be sitting on the bench every single game, week in, week out? Do we really think that Liam Delap is going to get no game time at all? It doesn't make sense. They signed Delap to be part of the squad. He's going to get minutes. Now, I don't believe Delap will start a lot of games, but he certainly will come on. And he will certainly get some starts, right? He won't start every game, but he will get some starts and he will get some minutes. And that will take away from the starts and minutes that João Pedro gets. So for me, listen, even though Chelsea have pretty good fixtures to start the season, I would not be going anywhere near João Pedro. Honestly, I wouldn't. Because even when you see him start, you know, once he gets to 55, 65 minutes, he's off. He is off. Right, so for me, I think João Pedro is an easy avoid, man. I think, yes, if someone gets injured, if Chelsea do get a few injuries, then yes, he becomes a good option. But right now, as it stands, for me, he's an easy avoid. And the same thing goes for Liam Delap. In fact, for Liam Delap, I put him in the get in the bin. That's where he's going. Even worse than João Pedro, because I think he's less likely to start than João Pedro. He'll most likely get more sub appearances, and at 6.5, they're just much better options. It's simple as that. So for me, Delap, I wouldn't even consider. And anyone that is considering putting Liam Delap in their team needs to get their head checked seriously, because what is going on here, bro? What is going on here? For me, the only Chelsea attacker, by the way, that I would even consider putting in is Cole Palmer. Any other Chelsea attacker, like Gittins, like Neto, all these bums, forget it, guys. Don't bother go there, because it will only end in pain and suffering. Right, Cole Palmer is the only one that you can trust for Chelsea, in my opinion. And even last season, Cole Palmer stunk up the place at times. But I'm going to give Cole Palmer the benefit of the doubt because it is a new Premier League season and he's shown what he can do before. Right, but for me, when you look at the new signings for Chelsea, yeah, I would just be avoiding them. Right, so Gittins, João Pedro, Delap, yeah. Just get out of here, man. I would not be looking to go for these Chelsea players. Now, next up, we do have Gyokeres, who has just signed for Arsenal. Yeah, that's right. Gyokeres. I'm not going to lie, guys. Gyokeres, he's going straight into the great FPL pick category. Right? Yes, he's a new player to the league. He's not played in the Premier League before. However, so far what he has displayed throughout his career, well, throughout his time at Sporting, right, is that he is a gunman. He is a bagsman. He is a player that scores goals for fun. And if he can translate that to Arsenal, then I think he will be a fantastic FPL pick, guys. It's simple as that. Right? Arsenal have been looking for a number 9. They do create a lot of chances. So Gyokeres, I believe, will be that man. Right? The Arsenal fans are calling him Glock 9 for a reason. Because he scores goals. This is what he does. And I think at the price of 9 million, I think he could be a fantastic pick, especially if he does sort of take pens as well. I mean, I still think Saka will take pens, but I think they might share penalties if I'm being totally honest. So even if he does take a few pens off Saka, makes him an even better option. So for me, I think Gyokeres will be absolutely fantastic. Of course, in terms of the start, like in terms of will he be a good pick for the start of the season, there's an argument to say maybe not, because he's not really had at the time of recording, right, he's not had a long pre-season at all. He's only just joined Arsenal for their pre-season, right? So for me, because of the fact that he's had less of a pre-season, maybe the first game he doesn't start. Maybe he comes off the bench and then in the second game, I believe he'll start. But yeah, to be honest, in terms of being a rotation risk and all of that stuff, I don't think that's a problem. He will start. He will be the main number 9 for Arsenal week in, week out. I honestly do believe that, guys. So yeah, for me, I think Gyokeres, right, he is going to be a fantastic FPL pick, in my opinion, and that's why he's up there in the great FPL pick category. And I wouldn't be surprised. There's even a chance I own him in game week 1, potentially, but definitely throughout the season, there will be times where I own Gyokeres, 100%, because I think a number 9 playing in that Arsenal team can score goals for fun. I really do believe that. So yeah, man, I've got a lot of confidence in Gyokeres, but I'm gonna be honest, the same can't be said for Madueke. The same cannot be said for Madueke. To be honest with you guys, I think Madueke has to be in the get in the bin section, if I'm being totally honest. You might think that's harsh, but I just don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where I'm going to consider picking Madueke as one of my 3 Arsenal players, right? I just don't see it happening. I think, look, I've watched him so much at Chelsea, and yes, he is a good player in terms of being able to beat a man 1v1, right? He's very, very direct, and it's what I love about Madueke, watching him, right? It can be quite exciting to watch him at times in terms of the fact that he's so persistent at trying to beat his man, right? Whether it's on the inside or the outside. But for me, he lacks the end product. He lacks the end product, and I don't really see him getting a high amount of goals and assists. I don't even know if he's going to be a consistent starter as well. At the moment, Arsenal still do have Trossard. They still do have Martinelli. I just don't know, like, have Arsenal signed Madueke to start on the left wing, or have Arsenal signed Madueke to be a backup to Saka? Right now, I'm not sure. Some Arsenal fans think that he'll be starting left wing. Some Arsenal fans are thinking that he'll be a backup to Saka. Quite frankly, I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't care. Because whether he's a starter or not, I truly don't believe he'll be a good pick. I don't think he'll be a good pick. So that's why I've ranked him in the bottom tier, get in the bin. I don't think I'll be picking Madueke, man. And remember, we can only pick 3 players from one team. So for me, if I'm picking 3 Arsenal players when they have a good fixture on, I'm picking either 2 Arsenal defenders and 1 attacker, like Saka, Gyokeres, or I'm picking 2 Arsenal attackers, Saka, Gyokeres, and 1 Arsenal defender. So for me, yeah, Madueke, get in the bin. And to be honest with you, the same goes for Zubimendi. I've seen some people talking about Zubimendi, like, could it be a good pick at 5.5? To be honest with you, I think no. I think no. Once again, if you're picking 3 Arsenal players, when Arsenal have a good fixture on, as I said, I'm picking either double Arsenal defence and 1 attacker, or double Arsenal attack and 1 defender. I'm not wasting one of my Arsenal slots on Zubimendi, praying that he gets more than 12 defensive contributions in a game. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So for me, that's why he's in the get in the bin tier. That's all I have to really say for Zubimendi, man. I just think, yeah, there's no really sort of value there. I don't even think, again, because of the way Arsenal play football, right, I don't even think he'll be good for defensive contributions, because like I said with Reijnders, right, if you're playing for a team that constantly holds the ball and holds possession, they're less likely to be able to make defensive contributions. You want to pick midfielders and players, right, that play for teams that don't like to have the ball, that don't like to have possession, because it puts them in a better scenario or better position to make those tackles, make those interceptions, make those blocks that can help them pick up those defensive contributions. Arsenal dominate the ball 99% in 99% of games they play. So I do wonder how many defensive contributions will Zubimendi make, which is another reason I just don't like him as a pick at all. So yeah, for me, he's in the get in the bin tier. And yeah, man, that's all I have to really say on Zubimendi. Now, look, we move on to Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz, man, for me, is simple. Not much needs to be said here, man. He's a great FPL pick. Joining Gyokeres up there in the great FPL pick section. For me, look, Liverpool, one of the best teams in the league. I think Wirtz is... I do... When you sign a player for 120 million... They're going to start week in, week out. As long as Wirtz starts, he will start week in, week out. He will more or less get 90 minutes every single game. So for me, I think he's fantastic, because I think the ability that the player has as well, absolutely ridiculous. We saw what he was like at Leverkusen. Fantastic player, right? Fantastic player. And I think in this Liverpool team, in this Liverpool system, he will shine. And I think he'll be a very, very good pick. And I think value-wise as well, at 8.5 million, I think that's so, like... To get a Liverpool attacker that's pretty much nailed on to start for 8.5 million is really, really good in my opinion. So, yeah, man, I would be more than happy to earn Wirtz. I'm personally not having Wirtz in my team as it stands at the moment. But in terms of, like, throughout the course of the season, I think he'll be, like, one of the best picks in the game, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, I really do like him as an option. Now, we also do have Ekitike here. And this one is quite interesting because, look, at the time of recording, right, Liverpool haven't signed Isak. However, if Liverpool signed Isak, then I would put Ekitike as an avoid. But as it stands, Liverpool haven't signed Isak yet. So for that reason, I'm going to put Ekitike in the very good section. But as I said, if Liverpool do sign Isak, then I would put him as an avoid, because I think like he would be a massive rotation risk. But for now, because Isak hasn't signed yet, it's only just, speculation and rumours. Nothing's official yet. I would put Ekitike in very good, and that's because again, as it stands, he's going to be the main number 9 for Liverpool. And I think if that is the case, I do see him getting like quite a few goals in this team. And again, for 8.5 million, I think that is actually pretty good value to get a Liverpool number 9 that sort of starts week in, week out. So I don't really see there being a lot of rotation there for Ekitike. Yes, maybe the odd game, he might get subbed off early. But right now, I just, obviously, because Isak hasn't signed right now, with the players that Liverpool do have available, I can see him starting the majority of the game and getting good minutes. So for that reason, I'd actually put him in the very good section. But yeah, we also do have a Frimpong. Now, this is an interesting one, man, because I think Frimpong has such high potential, but I'm going to put him in the meh section. And that's purely because of Bradley. Honestly, if Bradley wasn't there, I think he'd be a great FPL pick. But because Bradley is there, always just lurking in the background, waiting to be used as a sub, but also waiting to start games, I just don't know if I can trust Frimpong for 6 million, especially when you've got Van Dijk there, who is playing for the same team in the same defence, but also at the same price. So I just don't think Frimpong has that reliability. I don't think he's got the security in starts, because I think when Bradley comes into that Liverpool team, he does usually play well. He is more than capable and more than good enough to start some games for Liverpool. So because of that, I just think that Frimpong could be a bit of a risk if you go there, which is why as an FPL asset, I'd say he's in the meh section. A little bit similar to Ait-Nouri. Like, both have fantastic attacking potential, but both have sort of that risk of being rotated every now and then. And I just think, you know, especially with Frimpong, when you can just go and get Van Dijk for the same price, who's also great for defensive contributions, great for clean sheets, and also a set piece threat from corners and free kicks, it just makes sense to spend the 6 million on Van Dijk instead of Frimpong. So that's why for me, I'd put Frimpong in the meh section. Yeah, man. I mean, if Bradley gets injured, then boy, he would be a great FPL pick. But as I said, there's always that risk for rotation. So for me, yeah, I wouldn't go there. And again, the same sort of thing goes here for with Kerkez. I mean, I hold the same opinion. So I'm gonna have to put Kerkez in the meh section. Obviously, well, as it stands, Liverpool do have 3 left backs. I mean, they've got Robertson, but they've also got Tsimikas. So I don't know if one of them is going to get sold, but again, as it stands, they've got too many options in left back. And with Champions League football, there's almost like, yeah, I can just guarantee that Kerkez will be rotated every now and then. So for me, again, when he costs 6 million and he's the same price as Van Dijk, I'd much rather just go to Van Dijk instead of Kerkez, man. I just think it's not worth the risk. All right, you know what? I'm going to leave Kerkez here, but Frimpong, I'm going to move up one. And I've actually sort of, I'm not even going to, you know, cut everything that I said out. I'm going to leave it in. So you guys would have seen what I said about Frimpong. But I'm going to put Frimpong, I'm going to move him up one, right, into the very good section. And that's because, you know what, I think he's slightly better than Ait-Nouri because the clean sheet potential's a lot better with Liverpool. And also, I just think, you know what, because he's so good going forward, right, what he displayed at Leverkusen was great in terms of attacking threat. I just think it could potentially be worth the risk. I do think it could be worth the risk. And for that reason, over the course of the season, I'd say very good. Because I think he will be the starting right back, I believe. I do think he'll be the starting right back, but obviously every now and then he probably will, you know, get rotated and be put on the bench, especially when we enter like the Christmas period, for example. But overall, I'd say he's going to be a very good FPL asset. I would honestly say that. But Kerkez doesn't have that same attacking threat as Frimpong. So for that reason, I'm going to put Frimpong above Kerkez. Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on Frimpong there, putting him in the meh tier. And the reason why I'm putting Frimpong above Ait-Nouri as well is because, at least for Liverpool, defensively they're good. City, I don't know, man, defensively last season, City are a bit suspect. And as I said, I don't really trust them too much. So yeah, look, I'm going to put Frimpong there. Anyway, let's move on. Here we do have Mohammed Kudus. And I'm actually going to put him in a very good section as well, man. I think there is potential here with Mohammed Kudus for him to be a fantastic FPL pick. Obviously, now he's playing at Spurs. Yes, I know he stunk up the place against West Ham, right? Week in, week out, he was underperforming, but I do think that's just because he was in a poor team and because he was playing out of position. At West Ham, he's playing on the left, but now, right, and on the left, by the way, that's not where you would really want to get the best out of Kudus, right? To get the best out of Kudus, you either play him in that 10 role or you play him on the right wing, and I think he'll be playing predominantly as a right winger at Tottenham under Thomas Frank. And look, for me, I think Thomas Frank right now so far has shown that he can get the best out of attackers in the Premier League, right? We've seen the likes of Brian Mbeumo, Yohan Wissa, Ivan Toney, Kevin Schade, absolutely cook in the Premier League, right, and sort of outperform themselves. And I do believe Kudus is a player that Frank can get the best out of, because I think Kudus is actually a quality player. I really, really do. I think he's got some amazing potential, and I think he's got the footballing ability, he's got the technical ability. He just sort of needs a manager to get the best out of him, and I do believe Thomas Frank is that manager, right? So for me, I think there is serious potential there. And in terms of starting with Kudus, I don't mind it at all, because Spurs do have good fixtures, right? Spurs do have good fixtures, so I do think Mohammed Kudus to start the season as well could be a really, really good pick. Of course, there is sort of the risk of rotation there, because Spurs do have a lot of players, which is why he's not a great FPL pick. There is definitely some sort of, I think he is the main. He's going to be the main right winger for Spurs, but there is also that risk of being rotated every now and then. There is also that risk of being subbed off early, and as I said, because Spurs do have that squad depth at the moment. You know, there's Brennan Johnson. Son is looking like he's going to be sold, but at the moment there is still Son. There's Mateus Tell. There's Odeber, Kulusevski, Maddison. These are all the players he is competing with, but still, I do think he'll be the main guy. I just think he may not be the 90-minute man, but he'll get starts more or less every single week. That's what I do believe. So, yeah, I think Mohammed Kudus is going to be a very, very good FPL pick. That is my prediction, which is why he's in that section. Now, Matheus Cunha. I'm not going to lie. I think this is a pretty tough one, but I would put Matheus Cunha in the very good section. And you know what? The same goes for Bryan Mbeumo. I'm just going to talk about these two players at the same time. Now, that might shock some of you guys, because I know Manchester United were absolutely terrible last season, stunk up the place week in, week out. But hear me out for a second, right? When you talk about goals, when you talk about assists, for Manchester United, it's going to be Cunha and Mbeumo. I truly believe, right, these two players will be at the top for goal contributions by the end of the season. I think these two players are going to be our main talisman, right? So for me, I really do think if we're going to go for a Manchester United player, it definitely should be these two. But I also think throughout the season, they will actually prove to be relatively good FPL picks. And I think at their price point, both 8 million, they'll be very, very good. And I think for minutes as well, like they'll be starters week in, week out. Cunha will start every single week. He'll get 90 minutes. And the same goes for Bryan Mbeumo. And also, we're only playing one game a week as well. So I don't think rotation is going to be much of an issue, because we're not going to have that sort of fixture congestion that other teams have that are playing in Europe, right? We're just playing one game a week. So for me, I think, yes, both players, because they don't have penalties, you could argue they've got worse as an FPL asset, which is fair enough. They might have got worse as an FPL asset, but still, they are coming to Manchester United to be the main men, right? So I think, as I said, if I was to make a prediction for Manchester United, who's going to be our highest goal scorers, it's going to be Cunha and it's going to be Bryan Mbeumo. So I think when the fixtures are good for Manchester United, these players will shine. I truly, truly believe that. So, yeah, that's what I'm actually going to go for very good. And now we do have Anthony Elanga. For me, I'd put him in meh. I think 7.5 million is a little bit too much in my opinion for Anthony Elanga. But I think at Newcastle, because they're in the Champions League, again, it's just a rotation issue for me. I think with Jacob Murphy there will always be times, in fact, in pretty much every game, I believe Jacob Murphy will come on off the bench as a substitute for Anthony Elanga. And even some games, he'll start over Anthony Elanga, because Newcastle are in the Champions League, right? So again, for me, I just don't think Anthony Elanga could be trusted. And even if Anthony Elanga was to start week in, week out, I just don't rate him as high as a footballer as maybe some people do. I don't really rate him that much. So for me, because of that, I'd also put him in meh, right? I don't think he will have the best of seasons, and I do think he's slightly overpriced. I think at 7.5 million, right, when you look at Rodgers, I think for me he's a much better pick, and even Semenyo at 7 million, for example, is a much better pick. I think Elanga has been slightly overpriced, and that's also part of the reason why I'd put him in the meh section. So yeah, for me, I think, look, Newcastle did buy him, probably to be, again, the main starting right winger, but there will always be times where he'll be rotated, and I think definitely he'll get subbed off early, because Jacob Murphy has shown that he's good enough to come in when needed. So yeah, that is my opinion on that. But yeah, listen guys, we've done a lot of waffling in today's video, in today's tier list video. So this is actually how I would rank these Premier League signings for FPL. Let me know what you guys do think of that. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings on that, on this. Do you agree with everything I said? Do you disagree with a lot of things I've said? said, get your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to know what you guys do think. But yeah, this is how I would rank the new Premier League signings for FPL. And as I said, I've just sort of based it on the seasons, on the type of season I think these players will have, right, over 38 games. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. Smash a like on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been your boy FPL Ryan, and I'll catch you in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.